everybody, welcome back to Everything Actually with me, your host, Ashley Fisher. Today's episode 38, it is all about lying. It is all about how I choose not to do it because I'm a very anxious, guilty person, and it's just something that I don't like to practice because I think that it says a lot about your character. I think that it means people now can't really trust your opinion, and another side to this is going to be, I have some statistics that say every 1 in 3 interactions somebody lies, how there's a crazy high one about how people lie the most to their romantic partners. We'll get into all of that, but I think I could benefit from being able to lie. I think that I have told the truth when I didn't need to, and it caused people stress. It was just something that could have completely been avoided if I would have been able to control my feelings. So the very first note is just being that I'm very uncomfortable lying. I've always been uncomfortable lying. One of my first stories to include, because we'll do little dips in my timeline, when I was in 3rd grade, I pinched a crush that I had in this class, and his mom happened to be the teacher. I remember it so vividly, him being like, you won't do it, and I was like, what do you mean I won't do it? And he goes, ow, I'm gonna tell my mom, and I freaked out, whole rest of the school day, and I get physically anxious, physically sick, not throwing up, but just, I do not feel well. It's the only thing I could think of. As I'm saying, this was in 3rd grade. This still happens to this day, very similar things. Anyways, long story short, I freaked out the whole night, ended up telling my mom. My mom brought me in early the next day to have a talk with the teacher. I told her, and she laughed at me. She was like, he has 2 older brothers, you pinching him, it's completely fine, girl. Don't you worry about a thing. I said, oh, okay. I'm just saying, I value honesty and accountability. I personally always feel guilty, and point blank period, it is manipulating. If you are telling somebody something that isn't true, it is because you are trying to manipulate them to see you a certain way, to believe something that will be to your advantage. Usually people don't lie if it doesn't benefit them. If there's no reason to lie unless you are just a compulsive liar and there's actually no reason to lie, but majority of the time people will do it to benefit them. The first section is the different types of lies. And I can understand a justification for some of them. At the same time, there's some of them that, all of them, honestly, I can give a counterpoint to. So we're going to go into this. Number 1, white lies. I had to look up what were examples. Some of them said, compliments you don't mean. I just don't see why you would do this. Somebody says, oh, I like your sweatshirt, and they don't like it. Yes, I could see why, if you just give somebody a random compliment that it can make them happier, brighten their day. However, my counterpoint to this is tell them something that you do like. If you honestly like their hair, tell them you like out of something about somebody, you could find one truthful compliment. You don't need to lie because you're being lazy. You know what I mean? If you want to make somebody feel better about themselves, you don't need to lie to do it. I guess if you want to be effortless and do it, that doesn't really hurt somebody. The only point that I was like, this could hurt somebody. If you tell them that you say, oh, you look really good with bangs, and they look ugly with bangs, now they're going to think that they look good. Now they're going to, that's positive if somebody feels good about themselves. But at the same time, what if you were to give genuine advice and say, oh, I think you'd look a lot better if you grew them out a little? Then they grew them out, now they look a million times better. Now people give them genuine compliments instead of everybody lying. That was one of the white lies. Some of the other ones were just protecting someone's feelings by saying oh, no, it's fine. Once again, I think honesty is the best policy, because now if you tell them that it's fine, let's say that your boyfriend goes out 5 nights a week without you, and every single time you go, no, it's fine, I don't care, it's fine, because you don't want to start problems in your relationship. Now he thinks that it's fine that he's doing that, and you have an issue, and now that's going to cause other issues because you're lying about that. So that's why I'm saying, maybe if he goes out once, if he blows off plans, and you say, oh, no, it's fine, and then if he does it again, now that's where you lay your foot down. But I'm just saying, people only know what you tell them. So if you're lying to them, maybe they'll know you're lying, but, more likely they're just going to say, this is what you said, this is what I'm going to believe. Another one is social politeness. So if somebody says oh, sorry, I didn't see your text. I hate this one because people are on their phone 24/7. So for you to say that you didn't see my text is a blatant lie. So I just don't. So another type of lie is lies of omission. If you say, oh, I was with friends, but you don't tell your boyfriend that your ex was there. Here's a little story time for this. So, similar situation happened to me. I was dating this guy, and I went out with my roommate, and while we were out, we met up with some college friends, right? One of the guys in the group, he wasn't my ex, but we were closer in college, and I knew he had a crush on me. So, and I liked hanging out with him though. Like, I liked him as a friend, but he liked me. So that put me in a weird situation. Like, I didn't hang out with him for months when me and my boyfriend were dating because I was like, I'm gonna feel so guilty if I see this guy. Not that I was gonna hook up with him, not like nothing bad was gonna happen, but just me knowing that that was the circumstance, I was like, maybe not. But to sum up this story, the next day I text my boyfriend and I'm like, oh, by the way, when I went out last night, like, so-and-so was there. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, wait, like, did you guys hook up before? And I was like, yeah, like 4 years ago, but like not really, like it wasn't like that. And then he started getting like, oh, well, now I feel like you're hiding something. Why didn't you tell me? Da-da-da-da-da. Lie of omission came to bite me in the butt. However, if I would have not said anything, the reason that he was freaking out, I think, is not because I met up with this guy. It was because I didn't tell him about it when I was out with him. And then after the fact, I was telling him about it. And then he's thinking, oh, well, why are you telling me about it like it's a big deal? Did something happen? And I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, well, why would you tell me if nothing happened? Because I'm just anxious and I'm making my problems everyone else's problems, which is not okay. I do see how that's like, now I'm causing an issue in our relationship. I'm like ruining his mood, ruining our trust bond, whatever, because I was feeling guilty for something that I didn't need to feel guilty for. And I promise I'm not leaving anything out. That is literally, as I was saying with my 3rd grade story, I pinched somebody and I thought I was going to get suspended. My brain has just always computed that way. So that's where I'm saying I can benefit from lying. And that type of lie of omission. But at the same time, I just feel like, I don't know, that's kind of a harsh one when it comes to your relationship, because it's like, if you don't mention something like that, there's a reason you didn't mention it. Maybe the reason is because you didn't want to fight, but it's like, why would it cause a fight? If it was going to cause a fight, why would you do it knowing that that chance was there? So I think in a relationship, you guys really do need to be on the same page with that, but we'll go into that when I get to the stats. Then, just to zoom past this category, because this is what happened. The first time I was recording, I got way too deep into these because I wanted to give my opinion on every single one and saying, like, the pros and cons of each thing and little examples. So just to wrap this up, lies of self-protection. This is like when you're at a club and a guy hits on you and you go, oh, no, sorry, I have a boyfriend, even if you don't have a boyfriend. My 2 ends of this, really quick. I do see why women need to do that, to get creeps off of them. I think that's fine. You're protecting yourself. You don't owe this guy an explanation. If that's what's going to work, do it. Don't care. And here's another kind of thing. I think lying is more okay if it's to somebody you don't know. If it's a random creep at the club hitting on you and you just say, I have a boyfriend, that's fine. If it is your mother and you say, I have a boyfriend, when you don't, that is really concerning. That one, how it's like good for protection. At the same time, I wish we didn't need to do this as women, that we could just say, I'm not interested in you. And it wouldn't cause violence. You know what I mean? So, and then last 2, lies of manipulation. This is saying like, oh, well, Jack and Jill did it, so you should do it too. When Jack and Jill didn't do it, it's just peer pressure. And lies of convenience. That's when you say like, oh, I don't remember. I think whenever somebody says I don't remember, that's oftentimes a lie, especially for what it's about. I think you can genuinely tell, especially for women. Women intuition is so strong, so that plays a part in this as well. I always think I could tell when somebody's lying. And your world is what you make it. So honestly, which maybe that's unfair then to them, but if I think that you're lying, and I think that like you've lied to me before and I see this pattern, you're kind of digging yourself in a bigger grave. And even if you're not lying, I'm going to be a little, if you have that reputation of telling me little fibs all the time. Yeah, I don't remember. If somebody says like, I'm too busy, or if somebody says like, oh, can you bring me something from your house? And you go, oh, I just left. I just don't I get, lies of convenience, but once again, I don't see why that is necessary. If someone said, oh, can you grab this? I would just, if they needed something from my house, I would go and get them something from my house, unless there was a reason why I couldn't or why I didn't want to, and then I would tell them. And then and here's another part of it. If you're lying so that people hold this image of you, so if I say, oh, I'm sorry, I just left, I can't bring this for you. Now that person might think like, oh, nuts, they would have done it if they were home. But in reality, I was home and I didn't do it. So I think that it's unfair to like, yeah, people want to display themselves a certain way, want to uphold their image, whatever.
Whatever.
But that's unfair to that other person. That other person should know if I say, oh, actually, I don't want to do it because I don't have room in my purse to hold what you need. Now this person can say, oh, okay, so she's just, like, next time, then if she needs something, I'm not going to do it for her. I think that people should know that that is your character. If you're lying because you don't want people to know something about you, I think that people should know that about you so that they can judge you fairly and make their own decisions to move forward in this relationship. Or if you're a bad person, not saying every white lie you tell is hiding that you're a bad person, but you get what I'm saying? I think that people should be able to judge you fairly. And I think you should also want people to like you for who you are and not for who you're describing yourself to be. So, now these were some of my personal experiences. We can go in a little. Here is a little one that I was thinking. I was saying in, like, family situations, sometimes, let's say my grandma used to give me money and she'd go, oh, like, don't tell your father. That's kind of because, my dad would be like, oh, I don't want my mom giving you money because of, whatever. But I do that all the time, and I clipped a South Park audio, and it's all I can think about now. It's all I honestly have been thinking about, but now I showed it to you guys, so I hope you can get the reference. Or it used to be if my mom would buy me something, and let's say it was $50, she'd go, oh, tell your father it was $20. I didn't like doing that. I feel like a lot of married couples do that, where they'll tell the kid being like, oh, don't tell your father, oh, don't tell your mother. But it's never anything extreme, like, it's not like somebody's cheating on somebody, like, nothing like that. It's always like, oh, if we get ice cream, and it's like, oh, well, now we're not going to be hungry for dinner, oh, don't tell your mother, things like that. Oh, and I did want to include this part, when I've succeeded in lying. The time that I've lied the most was in high school, to definitely my mom. Sorry, Mom, love you, but obviously. But also, to be fair, they weren't, like, good lies. You know what I mean? Here's a funny one. I don't know if my mom even knows this. Probably. My mom's one of those mothers who, she lets me make my own mistakes in a sense. Like, she definitely knew I was going to parties when I was younger. She definitely knew that I was drinking, whatever. Like, she wasn't stupid. I know my mom's not stupid. That's why when I lied to her, I'm kind of like, everybody in high school lies to their parents. If your parents knew what you were doing in high school, like, they just don't need to know that much, you know what I mean? So one of my funny stories is my mom was dropping me off at one of my friend's house in 9th grade, so freshman year, that's your first year of high school. And I was sitting in the passenger seat, my mom was driving, and I had on ripped jeans, and then I had on a pair of sweatpants or pajama pants over. And I remember my mom, like, pulling out the driveway, and my mom, like, rubbed my leg, just being, like affectionate, like, oh, okay, like, have a, whatever. And she felt the jeans, and she's like, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's too much to pack. Now, I know damn well my mom was like, what? I mean, maybe my mom did just think I was weird. But, like, also I'd be like, hello, like, you're wearing jeans, I'm dropping you off at your friends at, like, hello, whatever. So little things like that, yeah, just with, like, drinking and, like, I guess if, I was saying, like, oh, I'm sleeping at so-and-so's house, but really I was sleeping at somebody else's house, like, little things like that. Those are pretty much the only time that I've lied, which I think is very universal. I do not lie in my closest relationships. I don't lie to strangers either, but definitely in my close relationships, just because I feel like that reflects on me very heavily, and I want people to know that they can trust me. So, and here's another little thing which you guys, I don't know if you've been able to pick up on. When I tell stories in the podcast, I'll be talking, and then let's say I say, oh, me and Savannah, shout out Savannah. Anyways, me and Savannah went to bar 1, and then we went to the bathroom, and then we went to bar B. Oh, wait, actually, we didn't go to the bathroom in between. We just went to bar B, and then we went to the bathroom after that. If I'm telling a story, like that little detail of saying we went to bar, bathroom, bar, isn't the biggest deal if I lie, if I accidentally... Here's another thing, if you accidentally say something, I feel like if you don't correct it, it's kind of a lie also. But if I said that we went to the bathroom in between and I didn't correct myself, that wouldn't really add much to the story. It's not really being super manipulative. At the same time, in my head, I just can't let myself say that. I always need to be like, wait, that's a lie. Wait, that didn't actually happen. Wait, I'm not positive if I'm remembering that correctly, because I want people to know that I'm telling the exact story how it happened. I like being a reliable storyteller, and I hate when other people aren't. So, and then here are just like my little stats. Section 5. I did try and organize this. Here are just some stats. A survey of people who'd been in relationships for at least 1 year found that about 73% admitted to lying to their partner to preserve the relationship. In a diary-style study, participants reported that around 27% of their interactions with a romantic partner included some form of a lie. That is just under 1 out of 3 interactions that there's some form of a lie. And I just feel like I can see that in relationships. As simple as, oh, did you take the trash out? Yeah. And then you do it 5 minutes later. Like, that is a lie. And I'm sure to everybody else, I don't know if it also, some part of me being a Libra plays into it. But that's a lie. And I'd be like, why? Then if I found out, I'd be like, why didn't you just tell me you didn't take the trash out and just say, oh, I'm going to do it now? Like, but at the same time, if I never found out that you didn't take the trash out and you told me you did, maybe I'd be like, oh, wow, that's very, very good that he did actually do it on time this time. But at the same time, as I was saying, that I should be able to have a true grasp of things. If I know that you didn't take the trash out when I asked you, now I know that you're probably not, always going to do that. So now I can almost expect you not to always do it. So when you do it, I just threw in all of my thoughts of lies into that one example. Another stat regarding financial deception, financial infidelity. In relationships, one survey found nearly 1/3 of people in serious relationships admitted to hiding or lying about financial matters. I'm not this involved with anybody that I've ever need to know that much about somebody's financial matters, but at the same time, I can understand that. I've listened to, if you guys don't know, I love listening to true crime. That is, yeah. But I remember listening to one case that, this was, well, yes, true crime, but it was the Catfish series on Netflix. Oh my goodness. Maybe some spoilers if you haven't watched it, so just like skip forward 30 seconds. I'll wrap this up really quick. Basically, maybe not even spoiling, whatever. Husband and the wife did not have a job for like 2 years. And her husband believed that she was working a 9-to-5 job. How do you hide not having a full-time job, that much income for 2 years? That blew my mind. Yes, she handled all the finances, so she was able to manipulate it, but I was like, that is insane. Yeah, so to give some of my final thoughts on that. I personally don't lie because I am very anxious. I do think that I could benefit in some social settings. I don't want to say I'm socially awkward at all, but things like that just make me so uncomfortable that I'm like, I would rather walk away from something than be like, oh, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking about the compliments. If somebody were to go, because I feel like something similar like this has happened to me. Let's say I'm working at a boutique. And the mom comes up to me and she goes, oh, my daughter just got braces. Compliment her on the braces so that, like, she thinks that they're cool because you're cool. I'm like, okay. Then the daughter comes up and I go, oh, my God, I love your braces. I don't want to say I wouldn't feel, like, guilty about that, but at the same time, I'd kind of be like, imagine if the daughter found out, like, let's say somebody else, and, like, I compliment her, oh, yeah, like, I love your braces. And then somebody else in this, like, her brother overhears that in the store and she goes, oh, she only said that because mom told her to say that. Now I feel like she'd feel some type of way, you know what I mean? But, like, I get what the mom's intentions were. So, whatever. That's another little side point. Another thing, I just think that if you find out that somebody lies about something, me personally, I would doubt everything they say after that. You know how they say, oh, you only have your word? Kind of, yeah. And if I can pick out if people do tell small lies of like, oh, oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Oh, sorry, I was busy. Then I'm just kind of like, okay, like, you don't prioritize me. Point blank period. You're going to tell me, oh, sorry, I was too busy. The truth is, I didn't make time for you. That is what it is. That's not what you're going to tell me because you're trying to be polite, but I see past that BS. So, as I'm trying to wrap up this episode, I'm not totally sure what I really want to highlight. Basically, I personally don't like lying. I physically do not like doing it. And I do see how it's beneficial in some senses. And I kind of want to say it just really is not that deep. I always think that it's lying is who you are as a person. And now I can't trust you ever again. But I don't think everybody sees that way. So let me know if you guys do. I always forget to do this. Like, comment, subscribe. Give me some feedback. Let me know how things are going. Show some love. And with that all said, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and thank you for everything actually. Bye! Bye, guys.